It's no secret that I love books as much as the next internet bookworm does. I have books everywhere in my home, they fill every nook and cranny, and I love looking at them. Books have always sparked joy. However, throughout my adult years, I have realized that I want a library that feels like me. I want books that have been read and loved to stay on my shelves, but I don't want piles and piles of unread books to clutter my home. I have therefore decided to start the Bookshelf Blitz, where I will be reading or unhauling these books in an effort to reduce my physically owned TBR. We are starting this process with 205 unread books, and by the end of 2025, my goal is to have reduced this number by 25%. In an effort to make this more interesting, I will be playing different TBR games to pick what books I will be reading. These TBR games include a book Jenga, book bingo, and so many more. Each episode will bring you a new surprise. I'm so excited to go on this adventure with you. Welcome to the Bookshelf Blitz. Hello friends, my name is Megan and welcome to episode 5, I believe, of Bookshelf Blitz, where I am using different games to play down my TBR. I will leave a playlist down below of all the other episodes I have done for this series so far, as well as my inspirations. As always, Becca is the biggest inspiration for me in this video series, but there are a lot of other videos similar to this on the internet right now. I love that everybody is trying to read down the physical TBRs, and I am a part of that group of people. For this round specifically of Bookshelf Blitz, my goal is to read between 2 or 3 different books, and to pick those books, we are going back to the trusty spinner wheel with new prompts this time around. Let me present those prompts to you, and then we're gonna get straight on in. So, we have book box books, a book from my May TBR, book bingo board from hell, anything that can help me knock off those bingos, a book in a series, a book on my TBR card, an audiobook, a book I bought in 2025, the letter dice, a free pick, or a book from the TBR jar. So those are all prompts I came up with myself. I'm trying to be kind and have this be a fun experience, so I thought it was easy enough prompts. The only prompt I'm a little iffy about is my book subscription boxes, because as much as I want to read them down, I'm not necessarily currently in the mood for any of the books I have to read, but it's important to me that I read the subs I buy. So yeah, without further ado, let's hop on into our first spin. This always makes a lot of noise and my dog is on me, so she's gonna get scared, but let's go. And do we have bought in 2025, which unfortunately for my wallet means we have a lot of choices. I'm gonna go peruse and I'll come back to you guys with the first book we're reading for this vlog. I have pulled 2 books from my shelves. Both are new middle grade releases. So we have Dragonborn, which is the first in a new middle grade fantasy series. It is dragon based. Also, I need to show this off. Look how stunning this is, you guys. It's incredible. So that is an option. It's pretty short, like a little over 300 pages. And then we have Dream Slinger by Gracie Kim, which was one of my most, well, both of these are very anticipated middle grade reads. This one is a blend between Amari and the Night Brothers and Pokemon, which I think is absolutely insane. I don't know if this is a standalone. A thrilling new fantasy series. It is not. It is part of a series, which makes me even more excited. So it's also like middle grade fantasy, because that is pretty much what I read when it comes to middle grade. I don't know what to pick because I'm incredibly excited for both of these. I think I'll go look and see if there's an audiobook for either of these that I have available, and that's what we're gonna go with. But if no audiobooks are available, we might go and put a poll pick up on the YouTube. So technically both of these have audiobooks, but the audiobook for Dragonborn, which is on BookBeat, is locked to me, so I would have to buy it. So we're not going to do that right now. We are going to read Dream Slinger for our first book, and honestly, you guys, this is definitely like a 5-star ultimate middle grade prediction. If I don't love this, I'm going to be so incredibly angry. This is even like, this is short. This is not even 300 pages actually. So it should be a quick audiobook to get through as well. I cannot wait to update you guys on this because it's truly one of my most anticipated middle grade books of the year. So to be able to read it in one of these videos is really exciting to me. So Dreamslinger with this beautiful cover is book number 1. Hello friends, I am not here for a reading update. I'm here to respin the wheel. I'm not DNFing Dreamslinger, but I ran out of audiobook hours, and from what I heard of the audiobook, it's fantastic, and I do think I'm going to enjoy my time with the story a lot more if I listen to the audiobook. So we're gonna put that project on pause, spin the wheel again, and eventually get back to Dreamslinger once I have more audiobook hours, because I'm not gonna intentionally make myself appreciate a book less than I could with that given reading experience. So we're back to the wheel, which we landed on but in 2025. So that is what we're starting from. Let's go. And we have TBR Jar. I have put down the wheel, grabbed the TBR Jar. I'll honestly say I'm in the mood for middle grade Rebecca Genchak. That's pretty much it. I don't know what's going to come out of this jar, but we'll try. We have pink, which is, you guys, I was a little bit afraid because pink is romance, but the bookish gods have heard me. You might not even be able to see this piece of paper, but it says scoring the player, which is indeed Rebecca. What I love even more about this is how considerate the bookish gods are, because it's part of a series I've already started. This is book 3, but it doesn't matter. I've been reading Rebecca Genchak out of order since the beginning. In the Campus Wildflower series, this is a kind of college romance. It is obviously sports themed. I don't know who this follows. The quarterback and a shy girl, but which shy girl? I don't know. These are the Hello Lovely editions of these books. I am extremely excited. I can even read this on Kindle if I don't want to destroy this copy because I have Kindle Unlimited. Pretty sure it's on there. I'm so genuinely excited. It looks rigged, I promise. It is not. I just manifested to the bookish gods. This should be a quick read. I just finished another book by her and I devoured it, so I'm excited. I'm so excited. I don't feel like we've had a lot of romance in these videos so far, so I love the variety. Hello friends, I look slightly disheveled because I've been reading outside in my hammock. It's been the first day that there's actual sunshine outside in over a week, so I'm taking advantage, but it's a little bit chilly. The dog is sleeping on me and I'm here because I am reading. I have been reading on my Kindle, which I love my Kindle and I don't use it enough, so love that for me. But I have been reading this book. I'm now 75%. I was going to say 75% of the way. Absolutely not. I'm 25% of the way, or 75 pages in. I am loving this book. So obviously it's not a surprise. I've read the first in the series, which was Tutoring the Player, and I absolutely adored that one. And I had no doubts that I was going to enjoy all of the remainder of the series as well. And so far it has been the case with this book. I will say I acknowledge fully that Rebecca Genchak, 1, is not for everyone, and 2, is a very formulaic author in the tropes that she uses, in the way she writes her characters, in the construction of her stories. But that is what I really enjoy about her. I read romance as a way to kind of shut off my brain a little bit and just be able to enjoy a story and have those little butterflies and cute moments that I just love and appreciate, kind of like watching all those 2000 rom-coms and not having to overthink. That being said, I know these stories might be a little over formulaic for some people, and I don't blame you, and I'm not reading these books and recommending these books knowing that it's like thinking it's going to be a one size fits all. And I'm saying that because I know some people sometimes pick up books on my recommendation, and even though I am a big lover of this author, I know she's not for everyone and that her books kind of resemble one and the other, but I don't care. I love them. I love the way she writes. I love the pacing of her stories. Everything that she does for me works 100% for me as a reader, so keep that in mind when I'm talking about this book, because I don't look hypercritical of these romance books, because I am not. So that being said, let's dive into this book. So I have read from the Holland Brothers series from Rebecca Genchak and the Campus Wallflower series. I have not yet read her Wildcat series, as well as her, I think it's the is it the Fade Away series or something like that? She has multiple series. She has written a lot of books, and when I say I want to get through her backlist, it's gonna be a long time. But I think there's a really interesting distinction to make between the Holland Brothers series and the Campus Wallflowers, because they are formulaic in their own ways. The Campus Wallflower series is obviously based off 4 friends who are wallflowers, and they sometimes can feel kind of not like other girls, but not in an annoying sense, more in the sense that, like, for example, our main character is very shy and timid. She's never had a boyfriend, she hasn't lost her virginity, and it's all things that she wants to be able to accomplish, and she doesn't shame people who have done that, but in the same kind of style, her discourse is very much like, I want to be able to do this, but I'm so shy and awkward. And so sometimes I know people don't appreciate the shy and awkward characters being repeated over and over, and this series pretty much follows shy and awkward characters, but I really enjoy the way that it's done. So this is what our main character looks like. She has no experience with boys, and she is very much like, I want my junior year of college to be different. I want to go through these experiences. I want to live that, and in order to do that I have to do things differently, but I'm struggling to do these things differently. And obviously we're in book 3, so we see a lot of characters from book 1 and book 2 with their boyfriends, and how this kind of changes the friendship dynamic and is pushing her main character to kind of want what her friends have, and that being kind of a factor of her pushing herself out there. And then we also have the quarterback who's named Flynn, and he has a lot of experience with girls, but right now he's focusing on football. But he's always kind of had some interest in our main character, but our main character was not clocking it, even if her friends noticed, even if she was like, he's the hottest guy on campus, blah blah blah, he's been burned by a girl. And so it's their stories kind of interweaving, and the way the story unravels is at the beginning of the story. Her main character goes out with friends, and all her friends are like, you know, this guy looks into you, you should like talk him up and everything. And she goes on this kind of spiral and is like, this guy is so hot, he's so out of my league, like if I could I'd like climb him like a tree and blah blah blah. And she has all of those very objectifying, like, this dude is too hot and out of my league thoughts that are brought into the world when she's having a conversation with a friend. But turns out someone was taping her, and everybody on campus kind of sees her talk about this boy this way, and then he tries to like make her feel comfortable about it. She obviously apologizes, and I do like the fact that she apologizes for objectifying him in that way, and it kind of strings their friendship that has been sort of blossoming on its own, but was pushed to blossom further because of that video. And 25% not 75%, 25% of the way in, they kind of strike this deal to fake date. And we just had the conversation about how this can benefit both of them, because technically our main female character looks like she's getting more out of it, but our main male character also is the one who proposed the fake dating. And so this is going to be a fake dating story, but obviously they are going to catch feelings, and I'm interested to see how this unravels. I think this is going to be a really fun story. I like where this is going. The pacing is medium to fast paced, which I can appreciate in a romance. Not every romance book needs to be like 500 pages long. Bring back the 300-page romances. I think sometimes it's enough, especially when it's part of a companion series where we have so many other things happening and so many other characters which we know, and we're building on these characters throughout the series. So far I don't have any real complaints. I think that the plot is very well explained from the synopses, and we can already kind of know how we're gonna get our happily ever after, because they have this deadline, 6 weeks of pretending to be together. I am surprised and enjoyed the fact that we didn't get fake dating through like 30 pages. I liked the setup and the build up, and to me the fake dating, even though it never really makes sense in real life to fake date someone, I think it makes sense in the context of this story and what both our main characters are trying to achieve. This is dual perspective. All my favorite romance books are dual perspective. And I will say that our main character very much reminds me of someone I know in my personal life. So I'm really enjoying that because I feel like they are realistic. The kind of flirty banter this character has, and his kind of self-assurance, and how that self-assurance is able to bring our main character out of her shell is what reminds me of that specific person. So I think it's really interesting to see how that kind of interweaves in different relationships. And so far I'm having a really good time, but as I said, do take this with a grain of salt. I know some people have read, for example, Playbook on my recommendation and haven't loved it as much as I do, but again, I know I'm very like 14-year-old in my body when it comes to romances, and I live very comfortably with that. So I will probably update you guys, I'm hoping at the 50 to 75% mark if I don't binge this, but I wanted to give my initial impressions on this because this is exactly what I'm craving. I was afraid that after reading the 4th book in the Holland Brothers series, which is Spotlight, I just remembered, I would not love this as much, but I do see them as two different stories and I'm enjoying it a lot. So I'm gonna get back to reading. Hello friends, it's been a couple days. My nails did change, but I promise it hasn't been a month. I obviously finished Scoring the Player. My thoughts have remained the same. I love this from beginning to end. I think it was the perfect length. I really enjoyed the characters, and this overall is exactly what I was in the mood for when picking up a romance. It's been very warm and toasty, so it's like the perfect season for romance books as well, and Rebecca just keeps getting these books out of the park, so I'm still in the mood to pick up more of her books, so we'll see what the wheel decides, but we're gonna go for one last book for this video. And I think that's gonna be perfect. The lighting has changed because I was interrupted and I had to come back a few hours later. I hope this is in focus. So we ended on, not on TBR card, TBR Jar last time. So we'll spin one last time together. Let's go. And we get TBR card. Oh, okay, exciting. I just shifted my books to June, so we're gonna pick a book from there for my June TBR. Love that for me. We're gonna take full advantage of this being I Love Rebecca Genchak video, and we're gonna read another one of her books. We're gonna go with Burnout because I'm in the mood for romance. This is one of like 2 romance books I have on my TBR, so this might be a little redundant, but we're gonna deal with it anyways. Burnout is the first in the Holland Brothers series, the series that I think I mentioned earlier in this video that I've been reading out of order. I read book 2 and book 4, and we're going back to book 1, which is between this dude who rides motocross for a living and Avery, who is an Olympic gymnast, and they end up training together. And their romance goes from there. I have loved every single book in the series. They are some of my favorites. I think I do like them a little bit more than the Campus Wallflowers, but we'll see how this one holds up. This is one of the brothers I'm most intrigued about reading about because I'm not sure I'm gonna love him as much because he's definitely more of a tattooed bad boy vibe, but I do also think I could absolutely be obsessed with him. So I binged these books. I'm gonna get this on Kindle Unlimited, and I'll hopefully update you once or twice while reading these, but I make no promises. Hello friends, welcome to my garden. I'm sorry for any construction noises, but I wanted to take some sun before going and working for the day. Also my hair is kind of damp. It's fine. I needed to update you because I read the entirety of Burnout already, and I did not update you a single time, and so I thought I would sit down and kind of give you my thoughts on these. I know I've talked a lot about Rebecca, my apologies, but I guess I'm in that kind of time of year where I hone in on a specific author, and she ended up being it. So overall, this is definitely like a 5-star read for me, as are pretty much all her other books. Again, I don't give a 5-star to romance the same way I would to like Brandon Sanderson or like something else like that, it's different kind of 5 stars. Keep that in mind. And I also would say that this is one of her books that is like the longest, that I've binged the quickest. I read the first 56% of this sitting on my couch pretty much right after I updated you guys. I went off to do like a chore or have dinner or something. I read another 10%. I read another 10% in bed, and I finished yesterday sitting in my hammock, and that was the end of it. And I never thought to pick up the camera because I was so invested in this story. This is like a 435 page story, even maybe a little bit more than that, and it flew by. And I do think the pacing of this one was perfect, and the way that it wrapped up was perfect for these characters as well. I don't really have any complaints, and I think this is a very, not a very different, but a different book for Rebecca, in the sense that she does things differently for these characters, because one, I think our main characters are both a little bit rougher around the edges but are still very like sweet inside. Like our main character is very tattooed up, and he had to take care of his family and like provide for his brothers. He had to drop out of school, and it made him have this kind of very hard exterior. And our main female character isn't so hard like in that way, but she's very witty, quick with the comeback, and like protects herself very well. And I think that the dynamic between these two is not something I've seen a lot, especially in the recent books that I've read by Rebecca, with like the Campus Wallflowers or Spotlight. And I thought it was a really interesting dynamic, and I got to see another kind of way that she writes characters. And I'm assuming in the series that I haven't read that some of the characters are this way, and I just haven't met them yet. But it was a really cool introduction to her doing things a little bit differently, and I really appreciated that. And again, I'm sorry for the construction noise. They're building stuff near my house. It's never ending chaos. Other than that, I would say something else that was interesting in this is that both our characters were much more, I want to say, okay with like being like hooking up with each other without anything more. And it was really true to both our characters when they started this kind of hooking up arrangement, that they were okay with it. And I thought it was interesting because in a lot of other Rebecca books, the characters have both kind of like the emotional and physical connection all at once, but it was very clear with these characters that the physical connection is what brought them together at first, and both were very aware of that, and like they found each other attractive without even knowing each other yet. And then as time grew and as they like hooked up and got to know each other, the emotional connection kind of came in, and I thought that felt very realistic for our characters. And it's not every person that needs this emotional connection to be able to like find someone attractive. And I thought it was really well balanced out, and the way that the main characters learned about each other and connected felt also really realistic and not necessarily rushed. Is this book absolute perfection? Probably not to most people, but I really enjoyed what it did and how it did things a little bit differently. I think the pacing for me was spot on, and the way that the story ended and how our characters ended up together and how far the relationship went also made a lot of sense to me. And obviously you see their relationship evolve in the other books, and I think it's a perfect evolution for this specific couple. And I had a really fun time. Again, is Rebecca's writing perfect? No, but it's really what hits on like the nail on the head for me, and I had a really good time. So this is obviously a keep, and I only have one book left in the Holland Brothers series before I can call that series checked off on my series tracker and move on from it, which is very bittersweet because I could have read like 15 books with these brothers. I love them very much, and it's a really interesting dynamic. But I will say it's not technically over because the oldest Holland brother is the main character in book 4 of the Campus Wallflower series. So I need to go back and read that, so technically I have a little bit more time. But as for my current ranking of the Holland Brothers series, it's very hard because they're all 5 stars, but as I mentioned, they're 5 stars for different reasons. I do think it would be Spotlight, Player, and then Burnout. Spotlight, I think, because I loved the tropes so much and the sweetness and more like emotionally vulnerable characters in that one. And then Playbook, I think the chemistry of the characters hit it out of the park right away. And these, I think I liked them a lot for their character building and the sassiness and difference from these characters. So I all love them equally, just for different reasons, and some of them obviously take the cake. But overall, this was a really amazing time, and I binged this, and I am so happy that I have this read, and it was my June TBR, so that is perfect. I will be starting the next episode of this pretty much right away. Today is June 6th, so I'm hoping that the next episode will have minimum 3 books, but I'm reaching for 4 or possibly 5 before the end of the month. I try to make these monthly. Let me know what the sweet spot is for these. Do we want like hour-long videos or 20-minute videos? Your sweet spot? Like, how many books do you want to see included? What games do you want me to play? Let me know all of that in the comments down below. Thank you guys so much for being here, and I will be back soon with other videos. Bye guys, happy reading.